When President Trump leaves office in January, he could face criminal charges in New York. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office is investigating hush money payments, as well as possible fraud and tax evasion on the part of the outgoing president. Current DA Cyrus Vance, who is currently overseeing the investigation, is unlikely to seek a new term next year. There are at least 9 candidates vying for that job. Whoever wins that election in November of 2021 could be thrown into the center of one of the most high-profile cases in U.S. history. CBS News investigative reporter Graham Cates is following all of this, and we spoke to him earlier on CBS NAM.
In some ways, this case is like other cases of investigations into the president, in that he has used the office of the presidency to stall it. He's sought to use the fact that he's president to stifle subpoenas seeking his taxes. But there's one thing that's different about this case from all those other cases, which is that it's a state investigation. It's looking at stuff that he can't stop now that he's about to be done being president, and it's a criminal investigation. So what happens now is, the fact that the Supreme Court has already said they're able to subpoena his taxes whether or not he's president means that they're continuing to pursue that right now as we speak. But also on January 21st, he'll no longer have this one thing, which is the office of the presidency, to stop them from getting those taxes.
So you spoke to the 9 candidates who are vying for the job, right? Where did they stand as a group on the investigations? Did you hear anything interesting from them?
Sure. One thing is this office is historically an office held by Democratic members of the Democratic Party. Going back to World War II, there hasn't been a Republican in that office. And what that means is that they're all really comfortable saying, we believe that if the grand jury says that the president should be charged, we're going to pursue that aggressively. But, they're really unanimous in one thing that I asked them about, which is in this race, everyone is racing to say that they're in support of criminal justice reform. And I was curious if a long, lengthy, expensive investigation into one guy meets that purpose. And they all said, yeah, it would be really good for the office to show we're not focused on prosecuting people who can't afford to defend themselves, but in fact, we're willing to put our resources into holding people accountable who have a lot of resources, who maybe, according to our accusations, took money from the tax coffers, and we're trying to get that money back so it can go to schools or the fire department or whatever. They say that this is actually good for the idea of pursuing criminal justice, which in terms of President Trump means the fact that there's going to be a new Manhattan DA, or if there is a new Manhattan DA, it doesn't mean that he might suddenly have a new person who's willing to back off and recognize Trump's power even after he loses office, or recognize that it might be embarrassing to lose a case against Mr. Trump.
Right. So Cyrus Vance currently holds the position. Some of the candidates have been critical of the job that he has done. What are their biggest concerns about the way he's conducted himself?
The criticism that Vance has faced the most over the last few years is that when it's come to prosecuting people who are wealthy or powerful, he's long faced these allegations that his office has backed off of those investigations, whether it was initial accusations against Harvey Weinstein or early accusations against members of the Trump family with a hotel that they were initially investigated with but not charged for fraud. And Vance's office has said, we followed the facts where they led, and we didn't charge at the time. And then with Harvey Weinstein, eventually we charged. But the candidates, a lot of them said, he only charged these people. He only went after Weinstein. He only went after Trump after it became the popular thing to do, not when people weren't focused on these characters. And it's worth noting, Vance has been in office for 12 years, and he hasn't said if he's going to run. But in the history of the Manhattan DA's office, that's actually a really small amount of time to hold the office. We think of 12 years in electoral politics as a lot of terms. It's 3 terms, that's a lot. But his predecessor was there for more than 30 years. and his predecessor's predecessor was there for more than 30 years. So this is really a short stint in terms of the Manhattan DA's office.